Oh my God, look. Me and Kristie were dancing like this to that music as it turned on. Hi everybody, welcome. This is the women's game. We are live. It's me, Sam, and my sister, Kristie Mewis. This is just moments after the final whistle of the USA versus England game at Wembley Stadium. The teams played to an exciting 0-0 draw on this Thanksgiving weekend. We literally just finished off moments ago. I am so excited. I'm here in my normal office space in my guest bedroom where my sister has been staying with me for Thanksgiving, and she is joining us here for this live reaction show. Kristie, welcome to the women's game.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
We're literally so excited to have you. Wait, I need to go look at some chat. Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. It is so fun. I'm going to get to some chat. Guys, it is so nice to hear from you all. There's a lot pouring in, but let me talk about what we're going to do today first. We're going to react to this game. This is a Do It Live, which means you, our listeners, are here with us. You're here live. You can ask us questions about football or life. If you want to come on the show and talk to us, you're going to scan that QR code in the bottom left of your screen. That's going to take you into a Zoom with our producer, Sophie. Oh, I thought you were texting. I was like, Kristie, give me a minute. So Sophie will get you set up to ask your question, but it's audio only. So we're not going to make room for your face on the screen. I'm sorry about that. We're going to get to those questions a little bit later in the broadcast, but go ahead and get in line now to make sure you get your question in there. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, just do us a huge favor and give us a like. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as well and join us on this channel. So I'm going to get to some chat now. We have Julie who says hi. Very, very original, Julie. I love that. Procky says, hi, Sam and Kristie. We love you guys. Mavis says we are all now having an okay time, which I love.
Aww.
We can read all this chat right here. Look at all these people writing in.
I know. I've been reading it as you've been yelling next to me.
I know. I am yelling. Sam Kerr Legend says, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thank you all so much for being here. Okay. So we're going to get to those questions in just a few minutes, but Kristie, let's tell everybody what we've been up to. We know it's Thanksgiving weekend, so we hope that everybody is just kind of continuing their Thanksgiving weekend and having a nice time with their family, eating some good food. Kristie, let's tell everybody about our feast we had.
Yeah, it's also just so nice that Thanksgiving is on a Thursday, because we were just saying this morning that it's like you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to just like continue just doing nonsense and eating whatever you want and just having a good time.
I know.
It's great.
We were saying that like every holiday should be on a Thursday so that you like kind of have a half a day Wednesday, you get Thursday off, you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then all this time to just hang out.
I know. It's been really good though. And Pat cooked us like an amazing, amazing meal. We had anything and everything. The turkey, the cranberry sauce, the homemade stuff, like everything was just homemade, beautiful. Like,
I know.
It was amazing.
I feel like growing up, for some reason, I never liked stuffing. And now suddenly as an adult, maybe it's just because my husband Pat is such a good cook, but he like left bread bits out to get stale for like days on the counter. And everybody was kind of like, this is going to be stuffing. And then he just made it into this delicious stuffing. Like I could have only eaten stuffing and I would have been pumped.
Yeah, it was delicious. We all like, we didn't really think that we ate too much.
We ate and
then and then we had pie, and then I don't know what happened, but at like 6 or 7 we were all so miserable.
Yeah, like the whole
family
were
so full and miserable.
The whole family looked at each other at like 6:30 and was like, can we like go to bed? We were so tired.
Yeah.
I think we ate like a little bit too early. We like tried to go on a walk, but it was raining and we just were like, all right, let's just call it a day.
Yeah. I couldn't even sit down because obviously my stomach is now like a little bit bigger. So I feel like there wasn't enough room for everything.
I know.
And I was just like pacing around. Like I couldn't even sit down comfortably. I couldn't lie down. Like the only thing that felt good is when I was just lying on my stomach, like staring at the wall. But I couldn't sit downstairs anymore. What were we watching? We were just watching TV, and I was like, I gotta go. Like, I can't do this anymore.
The Mewises during the holidays always like rewatch all the Harry Potter movies, and we just like couldn't even finish it. We had to hit pause and like go to bed. It was 7. Wild. We were so full. I do see in the comments, I love all of these. Julia says she loved your Thanksgiving video with the hammies, which just came out. That was very cute.
Oh yes, yeah, that was fun.
It was we
had a good time. Yeah, it was fun with that.
Okay, enough Thanksgiving. Let's get into the game. So the U.S. women's national team just played England. They played at Wembley, which was so incredible. I heard on the broadcast almost 80,000 people were at the game. But Kristie, I want to start with like where we're at in the year. So these players have been playing club and country all year long. This is the last camp of the year. Several players, including all three forwards who make up Triple Espresso, Sophia Smith, Mal Swanton, and Trinity Rodman, didn't even come into this camp. Emma Hayes said that they needed to rest. They had some nagging injuries, etc. But imagining for the majority of these players who not only have played in the NWSL or overseas all season, but also played in the Olympics, which is so exhausting. How do these players get up to put on a performance like they did today and play 2 more games before they can finally take a break?
It's honestly so hard. Like I think you've been there a bunch of times too. And for the past couple of years, I've been there as well. But it's just like you're running on fumes at the end of the year, mentally and physically. Especially, I mean, just with the national team stuff, with the NWSL or whichever league and everyone's playing in, you're literally just running on fumes. You need a mental break. You need a physical break. But that's one thing that I do feel that the US has always been so good at. Like, it's just like, a lot of times everybody's running on fumes and you just have to get it together and give it. It's almost kind of like, it's like one last hurrah for the year. So I feel like it's like, all right, this is it. One more game after this. And then we all get, a 6-week break or whatever. So I think it's kind of like you fuel yourself off of the fumes a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
I also think it's like, yes, we on the outside are sitting here being like, if they're so exhausted, this must be so hard. But I think that when you get into an environment like the U.S. Women's National Team camp, you have no choice. If you take your foot off the gas, somebody's going to come in and take your spot. And so as exhausted as they are, they really can't even think about that. They have to still play well. They have to still be available for as much of training as humanly possible. And I think it sounds so hard, but I feel like these players are just really machines.
They're
tapped.
They're tapped.
They're
absolutely tapped.
This is my job. I'm going to do it. I want to try to win every single game. And this team played great today. I thought the U.S. had the upper hand of this game. We're going to get a lot more into that. I want to continue setting the stage a little bit. FIFA ranked teams number 1 and number 2. The U.S. is ranked number 1. England is ranked number 2. Wembley Stadium, a huge, iconic stadium, packed to the brim. England are a really tough opponent. So England won the Euros in 2022. Then they came in second at the World Cup in 2023. But then they weirdly didn't qualify for the Olympics. So they've had a bit of a different year as they're trying to qualify. And now they've qualified for the Euros for next year. The last time the U.S. has played England was in 2022. You were actually there for that game. That was at Wembley too, right?
Yeah.
But we lost.
Yes.
Do you have any memories from that game?
No.
I have
a terrible memory.
Losses just go right out the window. I completely agree. England were without some of their best players today. They were missing Ella Toone, Lauren James, Lauren Hemp, who has been injured. But as we've said, this environment, just being a national team camp, playing at Wembley, playing such a great opponent, was definitely pressure-filled anyway. And I keep thinking about some of these young U.S. players who have been called in to replace some of the gold medalists from over the summer. Emma Sears, Ali Sentnor, even Yasmin Ryan, who has a couple of caps under her belt. How do you imagine those players are feeling? This is kind of their big break right now and their chance to shine. How do you imagine them going into this game at Wembley felt?
Oh my God. I can't imagine how it felt. It must have been so overwhelming and just so exciting. I mean, I feel like it probably just kind of hit them all at once. But I mean, I think that it was so amazing to see Ali Sentnor run in because we used to train with her a little bit and she's from our town and it's just and she's 20 years old and it's so cool to see someone else coming up in the system like that and being from our town. It's just so special.
I know. Hanson, Massachusetts. Shout out Ali Sentnor.
Can you believe it? Hanson, Mass. Not only us, but
it's
her
so
as
cool.
Well. I know. It's so cool. But yeah, I mean, I think it was they're also just so young. So I feel maybe they don't fully realize what's happening just yet. So maybe it might be kind of a good thing that they aren't overthinking it. I feel if that was me, but I was a bit older and I knew what the stakes were and all that. I mean, of course they know that, but I feel when you're young, you're a little bit you kind of still have that young brain and young energy where you kind of just barrel through stuff. Yeah. So I feel I don't want to use the word naive, but what word am I looking for?
Yeah,
it's they're just young. So it's oh, I have to play a soccer game at this really amazing stadium. Whereas I would be a psycho and be I can't be here. I can't do this. I'm going to fail.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. I do think when you're young, some of the stakes, like you don't like quite realize them yet, and it feels like you do. But then as you get older, and
you're
you
like,
realize,
oh my
god, this is like really a huge deal.
Yeah.
So
or like, oh my God, I
like
did that when I was like 19.
Yeah, there's almost like a freedom in being young,
Yes,
because you just show up and you put your cleats on and you're like, I'm so happy to be here and it's so great. I also think that playing against such a hard opponent, and we're going to actually touch on this a little bit later in this. What is this? A show? An episode?
I
Do
don't
it
know.
live?
We're like making eye contact and we're really close. It feels weird.
I know. I love it. I hope everybody's really enjoying this show. What was I saying again? Playing against such a difficult opponent like England is so hard. Like, I think that the US in friendlies oftentimes will play getting set up to play against the number 2 team in the world is few and far between. And we've played opponents that we should be beating more regularly with a little bit more ease. And so some of these young players getting called in maybe just for like the second or third time, England is like a real test. Like, this is like an opponent that's like, this could be a World Cup final someday. Like, this is really, really hard. And so I think even that added layer of that's kind of what was going on out there today. I mean, I think the first half felt maybe a little bit muted, but it's like, it's just 2 really good teams, like really going at it.
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of saying it downstairs. It's like when you play against a team that's like pretty much just as good as you, like it's just so even that it almost like cancels it out.
Yeah.
Like, who was playing against who today? That was it was a complete cancel. Like, so many of them.
My example is like Kira Walsh, one of the best 6s in the world, is playing against Rose Lavelle, one of the best 10s of the world. And then it's just kind of like, I mean, they both did well. I thought Rose actually had some really incredible moments, but naturally good players are going to like mute other good players' performances defensively, offensively. Like, it just kind of becomes this like chess match, and you don't necessarily get to see your favorite player dribble through 3 people and make somebody because the defenders are like too good.
Yeah. Normally it's like, I feel like with games that are that close, like number 1 and number 2, it's like a moment of individual brilliance is what sets it apart, or it's like a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, it's never like, yes, I think the US outplayed England today, but still it's like, I think that like England could have easily scored at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they still had chances and they still were opportunistic with some things, but I still feel like normally in really tight games like this, it's just like a small little mistake or just like a small little individual like doing something amazing.
Yeah.
It's just that I just feel like that's always how it ends up.
For sure. And again, I mean, this was a friendly. Obviously it was 0-0. I think we all wish we had seen some goals today, but let's go kind of minute for minute through the game. 2 players who could and maybe should have been nervous right off the bat were Emma Sears and Alyssa Thompson, but about 5 minutes in, they combined to create this awesome chance. What I noticed was Emily Sonnet from center back actually went forward and found Rose Lavelle in a really great pocket of space, who found Emma Sears, rookie for Racing Louisville, who got her first cap last camp. Emma Sears was out wide. She touched the ball forward and she crossed a really nice ball on the ground right through the box that found Alyssa Thompson, who got her shot off. Now I'm like, what happened there? And I'm wondering, Kristie, like, for a player like Emma Sears, a player like Alyssa Thompson has actually got her first cap at Wembley Stadium. So she has been in moments of huge pressure before, but you're coming in, you're playing in this huge stadium in front of all these people against this really hard opponent. Does creating a chance like that early on and doing something good and getting off this like kind of clean play that created a great chance, how does that make you then feel? Like, are you going, okay, I'm good, like I belong here, I'm going to have a good game? Like, does it really set you up with a lot of confidence right off the bat?
I think it immediately just is like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's like how I would feel in a situation like that. Like, you feel so overwhelmed and so like almost like, what's that like syndrome that you get when you're like, oh, I don't belong here?
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah. Like, you almost like have imposter syndrome when you're standing there.
Yeah,
and
you're like, I forget how to kick.
Yeah, like you have the uniform on and you're like, what am I doing here? Like, is this actually happening? But then when you do something like that, you're like, oh, I actually can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I belong here. Like, this is like why I've been playing my entire life, and like I can do this.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was probably like a really great moment for her to, take a really great end line touch, get a good cross off. that's just a moment where it's kind of like eye-opening, like, yeah, like this is, I'm supposed to be here type of thing.
Yeah, I think Emma Sears, that was a really great moment. I think last camp she did really great out wide in that kind of like right wing position. So I want to talk a little bit more about the forwards in this camp. Obviously, everybody's been talking Triple Espresso are not in this camp. And I feel like for these young forwards, so that's Emma Sears, Alyssa Thompson, Yasmin Ryan, even Ali Setnor, who we've already mentioned, and we're going to keep talking about all this whole show. It reminds me of like trying to break into the national team when like Lauren Chaney was playing in the midfield. And you're kind of just like, okay, obviously you're incredible. I'm younger. Like, I don't have the same experience. I want to come in and learn from you. I do also really want to like prove that I belong here and like earn a spot and like try and make a name for myself here. But I feel like it has to be so intimidating, just like it was for us trying to break in when there's such established forwards who just did so great at the Olympics. They all scored a bunch of goals. What do you think they can do, these young forwards, knowing they're coming into this camp with huge shoes to fill and a really steep hill to climb if they want to make this roster? What can they do like to show that they belong here?
I feel like there's like a level of consistency that you have to have. Like, you have to come in and show that you can be consistent, you can complete passes, you can make runs, you're fit. Like, there's so many things that you need to be consistent with. So I think that that's definitely something important. But then you also have to show why you're special. That is probably the number one thing. Like, when you come in, you don't know if you're going to get a call back or not, or you're new or you're young. You have to give the coaches a reason why they should bring you back, or like why they can't forget about you. So like, I think you have to be a good level of consistency, and you have to show how much potential and what basically something that you can do that no one else can do. Like, why do they need to bring you back? Why are they thinking about you after the game? Like, why do they need you on the bench or like in the lineup? Whereas I'm sure that we're going to get to it, but I think Yaz Ryan showed that today. Like, she came in and she completely changed the game. She created so many chances. She was dangerous. She was energetic. And I think that that's like an unforgettable thing that now Emma will look at and be, well, did you see Yaz play at Wembley for how many minutes did she come in for? Like, I think that that's like an unforgettable play.
Yeah. I think you're so right to like point that out.
said.
It could be like being really fast. Like, that could be your kind of like special skill that you can break down a defense when the team is struggling to do that. It could be that you're a great sub off the bench. Like, that could be your special skill. It could be that you can shoot well from distance. Like, it could be any of those kind of things. And as long as you're able to like answer a problem that the coach is having and you can do that consistently, that's the key to getting called back in. So not all of these players are ready to start in a World Cup final right now, but if they can consistently be the answer to a problem, they'll gain experience and they'll gain kind of the momentum and the reps that it takes to be ready for that in a couple of years. I thought our front five had like a really sharp start. I felt like, especially the first 15 minutes, we, as compared to England, like we looked more interested in the game. Like, we were creating chances. Frickin' notice Lynn Williams chasing back, tackling on defense as always from the 9, which every time I see, I'm just like, Lynn, she's just like the absolute goat at like playing defense as a forward. I felt like England was very level-headed all game, which really interests me. We've both played in England. You're playing for West Ham in the WSL right now. And I just feel like, of all the times for England to be a little bit like, I don't know, sparky, edgy. They just are still really, they were really like conservative today and really like composed. And obviously there's players that I think break out of that mold. Like Lucy Bronze is always ready to just like fly forward, make a hard tackle, do something different. But just in general, I felt that England was like kind of letting the game come to them. And I'm wondering if this is like typical in your experience playing in England. Is there a different kind of demeanor of an English team or of an English player? Like, how do you view English soccer?
Well, I feel like especially today, England looked a little bit stiff. Like we were saying that downstairs. Like I think they like lacked some creativity. Obviously, I know that they have some people out with injury. But I don't really feel like any of them ever did anything wrong, but I don't really feel like any of them ever did anything. Not they weren't creative. Like they weren't like like combining and like doing plays and just like vibing off of each other, for lack of better words.
It was
just
like
they
formulaic kind of.
Yeah. And I do sometimes feel that way when I'm playing. I mean, I obviously haven't really played that much, especially this year, but like, I think from what I see, it is a little bit more like that, like a little bit more robotic, a little bit more stiff. And obviously, I mean, they're so successful and the league is amazing, but it's like, I would say a little bit, they play with a little bit less freedom and they more like down to structure. Whereas the US, they looked like they were, you know, bouncing off of each other. Like it's almost just like a little like pep in their step. Like it's just an edge that they have.
Yeah.
And I feel that sometimes England soccer doesn't have that. And it definitely showed today, I think.
Yeah. And I think and I know you agree with me, when England does have that, it's like so incredible because they all do have the same understanding of structure and like the formula when it's understood and it works and you kind of have that like edge, it's kind of unstoppable. I mean, England has been so good when they're playing with that kind of energy. And we definitely saw them pick it up around like 20, 25 minutes in. There was that really nice break by Lucy Bronze. She dribbled kind of as a counterattack down the right-hand side of the field. England kind of just needed to figure out the US pressure so that they could get a little bit more possession and create some more moments for themselves that were like under a controlled attack. But we kind of stayed all over them. We created that nice shot by Casey Kruger that came about when Lindsay Horan played Alyssa Thompson down the line. It felt like the game was very much in the U.S. control. Very little was asked of U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper Alyssa Nair, who just announced her retirement from international football, though she will continue in the NWSL with the Chicago Stars. And I wanted to take a brief break from the story of the game to just talk about Alyssa for a second. We've both been really close with Alyssa through the years. She's like from the Northeast. You played with her on the Breakers. We both played with her on the national team. Can you like tell us a typical Alyssa Nair story or like something about your friendship with her?
Alyssa is just like, she's just like such an amazing like friend and an amazing person, but like she's also one of those friends where it's like you won't talk to her for like 6 months, but then you'll see her and it's like everything's just back to normal and it's like not a big deal that we haven't spoken in 6 months. But she's just like always down to chat, always down to go for a coffee. Like she's just one of those like great teammates and great people that like you'll never forget in your life. Like I feel like Alyssa's just like, she's so quiet and like keeps to herself, but like she's such a character and like you'll always have stories about her, like, and you'll always just like laugh with her. Like she's been my friend. Oh, I don't even know how long now. I mean,
I know.
I feel like I've known her forever, but
do you have any Breakers stories?
Breakers stories. That's again so long ago and my memory is terrible.
I know, it was like 10 years ago.
I know. We were just like, yeah, I don't know if Breaker stories are appropriate.
I mean, we did always like cheer for the Patriots with Alyssa, which was really fun. I always remember like going to watch the Patriots in the Super Bowl and like, I don't know, just having a great old time. Alyssa, we love you. I hope that isn't the last time we see Alyssa starting in goal. I really hope she plays in the game on Tuesday as well, so we can celebrate her even more. All right, had to insert that in because there weren't a ton of storylines in that first half. So we head into halftime 0-0. I can't say it was like uneventful. I did think that our midfield did well. I think our midfield has been getting, I don't know, not some doubt cast, but just some questions asked about the midfield recently. I thought Rose looked dangerous. Sam Coffey was finding the ball. She actually got a couple shots off today. She was distributing well. And Lindsay was on the ball a lot. She was finding some solid forward passes. We've both played in this U.S. Women's National Team midfield. And again, I know I'm biased, but it is really, really hard to be competitive enough to like make that starting lineup and then to be good on both sides of the ball, to have this kind of vision, to be like a 360-degree player. So, Kristie, what would you say is the key to success playing midfield on the national team?
Oh, God.
I know.
I think I feel like it's like a dominant energy, like, and I feel like all of them have that. Like you have to just be like a boss and like have this energy about you. Like you might like, I don't know if I would say that like our midfielders are like the best players in the world, but like they are such a dominant presence,
Yeah.
I would say. So I feel like definitely that. And they're just like, I think the confidence, I think like the engine, like I think the engine for them is huge. Like I feel like every time I was in the midfield, you just like can't stop running, can't stop defending. Oh, now you have the ball. Now you have to make a forward pass. Like I feel like you're just constantly thinking and constantly like you never get a break in there. Like it's just constantly back and forth. What can I do next? Where am I supposed to be? Like where's the best position? Like it's just it's endless. And I think that it takes a really, really strong character to play that role. You obviously did it amazing.
Thanks.
Like you were incredible. But I definitely think that it's just I definitely think it's like one of the hardest places to be. But they all did really good today. And I
agree.
mean, yeah, they did.
I agree. And I also will say, I think that like there is so much that's like in the control of the individual player, but then there's also this element of like you have to work together well, the three of you. And sometimes it's just like out of your control if like for some reason the chemistry isn't there or like something isn't right. Like the combination of players is really important too. And I think that that is something that we'll see continue to like establish itself over the next couple of years is like whoever is in there, how are they working well together? For example, there was like a couple of moments, like I mentioned, that Sam Coffey was getting shots off, like in and around the 18. And what we really need to see when that happens is probably Lindsay covering as the 6. England didn't look that dangerous necessarily on like a fast break. I don't know why I'm saying fast break, like this is basketball, on like a counterattack today. Because I felt like, again, they were just a little bit conservative, but against a team that is really good at the counterattack and could find an outlet pass right where our 6 would be. If Sam Coffey's getting high to create attacking opportunities, somebody needs to cover for her. So that kind of relationship between the midfield becomes really important too. Okay. Coming out of halftime, we did make a change. Yasmin Ryan subbed on for Emma Sears and then immediately changed the game. Yaz set up an almost goal with this like brilliant turn inside into space. Then she slipped Rose in centrally. And this was a really smart play. Yaz turned inside knowing that Lucy Bronze, the England defender, had come out to pressure her. And then Yaz played that ball in exactly the space that would exploit Lucy's change in position. The ball went into Rose and then Rose like kind of shot it. It just wasn't quite strong enough. So Lindsay ended up finishing it, but Lindsay ended up being a few yards offside. So the goal got called back by the sideline ref. And then moments later, Yasmin Ryan again got in a dangerous spot wide right. She put it in another great cross. Mary Earps just got a hand to that and deflected that out. And England, to me, still seems like kind of on their back foot. We kept attacking with a ton of like variation in our attack, which I actually loved. There was crosses, there was long balls into forwards, there was combination play through the middle, which is the key to breaking down a strong defense like England. You can't just be good at speed down the flanks and crossing. You have to like do various kinds of attacks. We came out super strong that first 10 minutes of the second half. What did you notice about our play or England's play that interested you?
Well, something that I've definitely noticed is in the first 10 minutes like of the first half and in the first 10 minutes of the second half, the US came out super strong and they pushed forward, which is so interesting because I feel like I've obviously been watching Chelsea over the years because Sam plays for Chelsea and Emma was the coach, of course. And that's exactly how they do it the first 10 minutes of the game and the first 10 minutes of the first half. So I don't really know like how Emma kind of gears them up for that. But a lot of times Chelsea wins the game kind of in the first 10 minutes. But it's just interesting to now see that the US team is doing that and they're doing it so well and they're doing it so quickly too. So I'm wondering if that's something that Emma kind of really pushes on them a bit. But I think that they looked great. Again, England looked like they were on their heels still from halftime. And I think that that's like such a smart but simple way to try to win the game. Like I feel like in the first 10 minutes of both half, you're really susceptible. So can I talk?
I know you did have a couple trip ups there.
I'm going to start over.
This is live though.
In the first 10 minutes of the first half and the second half, you're really susceptible to getting scored on.
Yeah.
And I think that that is like such a simple way to try to advance in the game is to score early on. I know
Yeah.
it's live, but I was just
I
gonna
know.
start my like sentence
I know.
over because I just like
I know
I
you did
tripped
good
a couple times.
I know.
But yeah, that's like all I had to say. So now you can go.
Okay, great. Does everybody know when you're like in school and you get the giggles and like the teacher's gonna kick you out of class, but like you can't help it? That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
But I guess it is kind of like my show, so who's gonna kick me out? People
Exactly.
will just stop watching and be like, Sam was just giggling to herself the whole time. Okay. But then there was kind of a change in momentum. We're talking about coming out of halftime. The US was on their front foot. England was kind of on their back foot. But then a high pressure moment for England. They won the ball high up the field, turned into a couple of chances for them. They got a few corner kicks. There was a promising shot from Georgia Stanway that got deflected. There was some good combination play around our box. And the energy really started to pick up as England's chances came. And the game felt open. We were kind of like frantically defending for a few minutes and just clearing it long. Do you credit that change in energy for England to anything? Like, did they start doing something different, or was it just they were kind of like, we got to get going?
Yeah, I guess I didn't like really notice like an exact moment that changed it. It could have just been like a switch of point of the attack. I feel like Lucy was it no, it was Jess Carter who did it in the first half where she was kind of trapped in the corner and then like creatively
played kind of a square ball out.
Which could have been like really risky. Like I feel like normally defenders don't do that, but that was again like something cool that England did in the game where Jess Carter crossed it over to the other side of the field and they had like a little break. I feel like they must have just had a moment like that where they did something good. They broke out, they broke the press. But it was exciting for like a couple minutes there.
Yeah.
Like that was probably like the most exciting part of the game.
Definitely.
But yeah, they did kind of have the US like frantically defending, not being able to get pressure fast enough. So I guess that was kind of an exciting part. We enjoyed those minutes.
We did. One thing I kept noticing was it felt like there were England was playing these little like lofted balls back post towards Alessia Russo. And as she was Alessia Russo was so good at this, she was like fading off that like kind of weak side center back. And the ball never connected with her, obviously, but it was really something to watch out for that I think if England can line that up a little bit better and just get Alessia on the end of that ball, that fading off that weak side center back is such a dangerous forward movement to do because the center back has to keep an eye on the ball and this player in her kind of periphery, and it's just hard to backpedal defend like that. So there were a couple close chances, but we kept up our own pressure. I mean, as much as England was pushing, so were we. And this is really where the game started to get exciting, was in that middle bit of the second half. Right around the 64th minute, there was a turnover and Yasmin Ryan got a shot off and it deflected off Alex Greenwood. And the center ref immediately called a handball, went right to the spot. Emily Sonnet was standing with the ball at the spot. And I think we all know that maybe she wasn't going to take it because sometimes you just, you play some games around the PK spot. Like, I don't know. But
where there's action shot. Oh my God. Where there is action, Sonnet will be. There is Sonnet.
I freaking love that. I personally would love to see Emily Sonnet take a PK. I think she would absolutely crush it. She's so mentally strong that when I always say PKs are terrifying, I think Sonnet would be like, no, they're not. Not at all. I think she would just be like, I'm not scared at all. So anyways, maybe someday we'll get to see that. But the ref had to go over to the screen. The VAR refs obviously knew it wasn't really a handball, I think, because it deflected off of Alex Greenwood's leg before it hit her arm. Right around this time, Kristie, you were mentioning that it was maybe time for England to make some subs. And England had some great subs on the bench. Chloe Kelly, Aggie Beaver-Jones, Fran Kirby, Grace Clinton. Who would you have liked to see out there sooner and why?
Oh, I forgot about Grace Clinton.
Yeah.
She didn't come in,
She didn't
did
come
she?
in, no.
Well, I obviously would have liked to see her in there. And I think Chloe Kelly, because she's fast, she brings energy, she's creative.
Yeah.
And I think Grace is really creative as well. So I feel like definitely those two. I don't really feel like Fran had too much of an impact. Maybe she just didn't get enough time and it's probably a hard game to come into. But I just kept saying that England needed to sub because they were lacking anything and everything. Like, I feel like they were kind of on the back foot. They needed some sort of presence that was just going to like change the momentum of their game.
Right.
And I think that the US, they used their subs and they kind of did a better job with that. And I just think England was just like, they needed something. They needed some sort of energy. They needed some sort of spark. But I do feel like England does wait a long time to sub, like overall, like just in the past
it's
and
like
stuff.
a conservative attitude.
Yeah. Which I feel like after watching that second half as the coach, I would have been like, okay, like I need to, start the second half maybe with something a little bit more like exciting or a little bit more creative or a little bit faster or something like that. So they did eventually sub, but I think that it could have been done earlier.
Yeah. And I think to Kristie's point, like our subs were super impactful. I think, again, Yasmin Ryan coming in at halftime was a really impactful sub. Jaden Shaw came in, Corbin Albert came in for Lynn Williams and Alyssa Thompson. And I actually feel like that signaled kind of a formation change for the US. It looked to me like Roosevelt moved more out wide to the right. Yasmin Ryan moved over to the left. What this signaled to me, and again, I'm interested to hear from you who you've watched Chelsea play so much under Emma over the years. It was kind of this like versatility and interchange that we have come to know and love from Emma Hayes teams. Rose had a moment where she was out wide right. She cut in. It was super dangerous. Jaden Shaw is like playing as a 9, but she has such 10, even winger tendencies. Our midfield and forward lines kind of started to blend together. And I'm curious if you think that that's like the evolution of this team is like a really fluid interchange, versatility. Like, what would that be like to try to defend that? Not even knowing, is Rose a midfielder? Is she a winger? Is Jaden a 9, a 10? Is Yaz playing wide, but she can come and turn in the pocket? Like, that seems so dangerous. And what might that be like to try to defend?
Yeah, I think it kind of creates like a hectic environment. Like if I saw those rotations and like a new person was like coming at me, like if Rose Lavelle started coming at me all of a sudden, but she was playing midfield 5 minutes ago, I'd be like, oh my God, like I would be
so annoyed.
So annoyed.
I know.
Yeah. But I feel like that's just like such a good quality to have, especially for the future. Like, just because you never know what can happen in tournament play. Like there can be random injuries. There could be a red card. Anything can really happen. And I feel like starting now and kind of creating that versatility is really going to help them in the future.
For sure. And we're talking about versatility up front, which I do think is kind of like one of Emma Hayes's kind of like traits as a coach. But I will, until my dying breath, go back to Emily Sonnet at the Olympics, who is one of the most versatile players in this pool of players. She can play center back, she can play outside back, she can play the 6. And at the Olympics, we needed her to play when we needed her. We needed her to play different positions. And she was a huge reason why we were able to win that gold medal. And so not just under Emma Hayes is it important, but like that versatility, especially on a smaller roster, just comes in such handy, especially when those players are experienced and confident and have Sonnet written on the back of their jersey. Okay, I know we mentioned this at the beginning because we were just so excited, but I do want to mention Ali Sentnor one more time. She subbed in the 87th minute. Ali Sentnor is from Hanson, Massachusetts. That's our hometown. This is so exciting to see her playing for the U.S. Women's National Team, which obviously Kristie and I dreamed about our whole childhoods and got the opportunity to do. We both went to a World Cup. We both went to the Olympics together. And now to see Ali Sentnor, who's like, she's not the third Mewis sister. She is Ali Sentnor, but like, we just love her and we know her. She's so sweet. She actually like volunteer worked for us at our clinic in 2019. We got to train with her in a couple of different off seasons, and she's such a great player. Her shot from distance is so good. I remember training with her indoors in Hingham, Massachusetts. And I was like supposed to be this like world-class national team player. And Ali Sentnor was like nailing all of these shots from like 40 yards out. And I was kind of like, like I'm not as good as her at this. So I'm super excited for her. She deserved this call. And she's had such a great year with Utah this season as a rookie. So I just can't wait. Ali Sentnor, I'm so excited.
I know. She's the best. She's so like, one thing that I do remember about her, she was so eager to learn.
Yeah.
And she was so like, she was like respectful to us, but she also was so like, just, I don't know how to say it. Like she was so eager to learn and like, no, like so confident, confident in what she was doing. Like, and that was just really cool to see at such a young age. And she was obviously coming and training with us, but like she made us look like idiots in certain parts of the training session. Like,
I know.
She's pretty lit. Yeah.
I know. I remember this other drill and we were doing this like on an indoor turf field, but we had to do these like small foot skills and we were like kind of racing. And so like, obviously I'm kind of in a lose-lose. It's like, if you win, yeah, you're 28 years old and on the national team, of course you should win. But if you lose, you're like losing to a 16-year-old. And obviously I lost because like she was just so technical and skilled at like dribbling through these little cones, and my calves were cramping. And I just had to be like, Allie, you're incredible. I can't wait to cheer you on. I'm going to get myself an Allie Sentnor jersey.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for her. So to kind of wrap up the game, we both feel like the U.S. had the upper hand. We created some chances, but we just couldn't score. And that has been, if there's been anything the media or like any naysayers have said about this team under Emma Hayes, it's just that last final piece has been missing only like really one or two times. It's obviously the hardest part, but it's just the main thing that this team needs to focus on. And without the missing forwards that we've seen kind of put those chances away all year, I guess there were just some small things off in the final third. Again, it's the last camp of the year. England's a really hard opponent. They're playing at Wembley. It's 2 days after Thanksgiving. These players have had a long year. But I'm curious, Kristie, who stood out to you today for the U.S.? Answer that first.
Okay. I think obviously Yaz, like I said before, she completely changed the game, I think, when she came in. I think I would say Naomi, just because I always say her, because she's always just so consistent, so level-headed. She keeps the back line together. Rose again, too. I mean, I feel like I always say Rose, too, just because she's so fun to watch. And she's just like, she's like the engine and the creativity in that midfield for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, again, I think those were probably the standouts for me. Who would you say?
No,
Did I forget anyone?
I agree with all of those. I'm going to say Sonnet again. I know everybody's just going to be like, Sam's obsessed with Sonnet, but it's true. And then I think Emily Fox is like, Fox is like flying under the radar as like the most consistently solid player for this team. I think she's great on the ball. She doesn't like overcomplicate things. I think when it's on for her to go forward, she just goes forward and she passes forward and she crosses. And she's just kind of like direct in a way that is like almost simple. I mean, she makes good decisions on the ball. And she just doesn't try to like overcomplicate it. But then she's also on the other end of the field clearing and heading the ball away and defending 1v1. So I think Foxy has become one of my favorite defenders on this team.
She's such a mature player.
I know.
And like I feel like she's playing like beyond her years.
Totally.
Like she's playing like to the level of like Lucy Braun's maturity, I would say. Like she's just over the past couple of years, maybe it was going to Arsenal, maybe it was just being with the national team, but I feel like the amount of time that she's had, but the amount of maturity that she has is like insane.
Yeah, I totally agree. So big shout out for Foxy. Who do you think played well for England? Did anybody stand out to you? I think Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy.
And I think that Lucy is a player who obviously is one of the most well-known players, so it feels like kind of a cop-out to say Lucy, but she just brings the bite that we're talking about and the fearlessness to like break free of a formula or a structure when it's necessary. She dribbles forward at speed. She crosses. She shoots. She tracks back on defense. She'll cut into the middle when she has to. I feel like Lucy is like this added flair to the England team. And when she's on and playing well, I think her contributions are like really, really noticeable.
Yeah, she's just super solid. She's always solid. I feel like she rarely, like she's just like one of the most consistent defenders like to ever play. Yeah. I really think so. She's just, I feel like she rarely has a bad game or like rarely makes like huge mistakes. I mean, obviously sometimes I think it's tough being a defender because you get blamed for a lot of things. Like you're the last line of defense, but she rarely has those moments. I think she's just, again, like I said, when I was comparing her and Emily Fox, but like she's such a mature player and you can always count on her.
Yeah. I'm seeing you all weigh in here too. Mary Earps is a great shout out for an England player who did well. I see that from TR. Monique says Lucy so freaking good. Soraya Bronze is all over the field. She covered everything. I love these contributions, everybody. Thanks for helping us out. Mary Earps did have a good game to shut out a few really great chances. Okay, everybody, we've talked through the game a ton and we need some more contributions from you. So we've reached the part of the show where we get to hear from you, our listeners. So if you're going to join us here live on YouTube, just scan that QR code in the top left of your screen, or you can click the pinned comment in the chat. That's going to take you into a Zoom with our producer, Sophie. She's going to tell you everything you need to know. You're not going to appear on screen. If you don't want to ask a question, please keep listening and give us a like. It helps more than you know. Okay, so I'm going to call out your name. And when I say your name, take yourself off mute, tell us where you're from, and then ask your question. Okay, Jennifer, you're up first. You can take yourself off mute.
Hi, Sam and Kristie.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, nice to talk to you guys. Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Oh my gosh, don't be. We were kind of nervous
We're
too
nervous
at the beginning,
too.
but it's going great.
Okay, I can see you guys on like my big 75 screen TV. So, all right. So my question is, if you could create the perfect player, being yourself, using the abilities of current or past women's soccer players, who would you pick? Some of the abilities would be like personality. For me, it would be Trinity, confidence and swagger. Passing, Laval, she's silky smooth. Heading, Alexandra Pop. Vision, Sam, because you know her height. Positioning, because Kristie, you know, she's really good. Technique Marta, skill moves Tobin, and then finishing Alex.
Oh my gosh, Jennifer, that would be literally the best player ever invented. I don't know how we can top any of that. Kristie, if you could steal anybody's passing ability, who would you steal?
Lauren Holidays.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, her passing was so effortless, and I think her passing was so good because of her vision, so I feel like I have to say her for passing and vision. But playing with her a little bit with the national team and then in Kansas City my rookie year, I've like never seen anything like it. I would be standing there, like I think I was playing like left back at the time, and I would like laugh because of like how much of a joke the pass was that she like somehow made.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have to say her for passing and vision.
I know. I think I keep thinking of Pinot because I think Pinot won incredible vision and incredible like technique. And I always picture that pass Pinot would do with like the outside of her foot where she'd like bend it around the back line kind of. And then I also just think Pinot's like crossing ability. It is a pass, even though it's kind of like going into a crowd, but her ability to pick out players on a cross was so good with both feet. Okay, let's do one more skill and let's do like mentality. Like whose mentality would you steal?
Sonnets.
That's a really good one. I was thinking Julie Ertz, but now I'm also kind of thinking Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's like a psycho.
In the best way.
In the best way.
Much.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I loved that question. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for calling in. Jennifer's gone. Oh, there you go. Okay. Bye, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye.
Quinn, you're up next. You're going to take yourself off mute and ask your question. Tell us where you're from.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Quinn.
Yes,
yeah, we can.
Hi, I'm Quinn. I'm from Maine. And I just want to say I'm such a big fan of both of you. Kristie, I remember watching you as a kid back in your Boston Breakers days, like 10 years ago. And you quickly became one of my favorite players.
Oh, thank you
Quinn,
so much.
you're from Maine. What part of Maine?
South Portland.
Oh, cool. We love Portland.
Yeah, Portland's awesome, actually. Yeah, Portland's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
So my question is, obviously these are Alyssa Nair's final games with the US Women's National Team, and she's been such a big presence on this team for the past like so many years, and there hasn't really been a super clear number two. So who do you think the next number one for the US Women's National Team is going to be, and what do you think Emma is looking for in this number one?
Gosh, Quinn, that is such a hard question. I feel especially because I feel like the spot is like kind of wide open. I mean, up until this camp, I would have said Casey Murphy because Casey Murphy feels like she's been that number two this whole time. But I think that her not getting called in, and I have no idea why, it could have been for a number of reasons. I think that Mandy Hott is making a case for herself. She got called in as a replacement player last camp, and now she's back in this camp with Fallon Tellis-Joyce, who is also having a great year with Manchester United right now. American fans may know her name more from her time with Seattle Reign, or what Seattle Reign used to be called. I'm so interested in this, though. I think this is actually one of our big questions. Internally at the women's game, we were discussing this because it's a huge question right now, and we don't really know. I think Alyssa's retirement comes at such an interesting time where there's a long runway to have to pick a number one. So any of those names that we've mentioned, including Jane Campbell, who's been in and out for years, could become the number one. What's Emma looking for? I'll let you answer.
Thanks. It's also hard too to like, because like we only see the keeper who plays play.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I haven't really, been in to like see the other keepers training or how they're doing or how they like mesh with the team. So it is a really hard question to answer because we just don't really see them training or interacting with the team or how they are in scrimmages and stuff like that. Because that's really the only other opportunity that people would get to see them.
Yeah, and in their club play, which it can be really telling. I mean, I do think Mandy Hott, despite being on Utah, who didn't have the best year, did a good job. Valentellis Joyce is having a great season, and ultimately that's why they're getting called into camp. But like Kristie's saying, it's just so hard for us to know. We also have like no experience with goalkeeping, so sometimes
in that environment too, like in the national team environment, it's hard. I think Casey probably has like a bit more experience than all of them, so she might get the opportunity. But I do think that it's the other ones are going to be like
fighting
clipping
for
her heels
for sure.
Yeah.
I think
it's a tough one though. Yeah,
I think what I've heard that Emma's really looking for too is someone who can play out really well with their feet. Filling the shoes, I think just filling the shoes in general of the U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper. Alyssa went through this as well when Hope Solo retired or when Hope Solo was not on the team anymore. There is such a pressure to fill the shoes of this player because they've become such an integral part of the team over the past few years, in the same way that Hope was, in the same way that Bryce Gurry was. Now Alyssa is that person where none of us can imagine the team without her. And so whoever this player emerges to be, they have big shoes to fill, but they'll do it. And they're training really well. And the selection process is going to be really intense. I think this is like a really big question. And Quinn, I love that you're asking it. And I wish that we knew more about goalkeeping. We'll have to get a goalkeeping expert in here to talk more about it. Quinn, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Oh my gosh, it was so nice to hear from you. Okay, Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Can you take yourself off mute?
Hi, yeah. I have to do a quick shout out. I'm also a Massachusetts girl, but I live in Maine as well.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in Portland.
What's up?
I know you guys are Scorpion girls, but I was a FC Stars, so we were kind of rivals.
And we're hanging up now.
Oh,
I'm joking.
I thought she was actually going to hang up. I was like, Kristie, no!
I wouldn't even know how to hang up.
Olivia. Okay, Olivia from Portland, Maine. Well, from Massachusetts, but living in Portland, Maine. What's your question?
Okay, so I'm just wondering, if you're Emma Hayes, what would you change going forward to the Netherlands game, thinking both about how things went today and also how Netherlands game differs from England's?
Yeah. Wow. Another tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think that like our goal this camp is, one, to get everybody through healthy, get to the end of the year. I think that Emma wants to see some of these young players get, exposed to a really difficult game, exposed to a really difficult opponent, and like play in these really pressure-filled moments. I am curious if we're going to see Alyssa Nair in goal again. I don't know if she'll get the start because it is her final game, or if they're already going to try to like signal what's coming next. But then I also think we might get to see like Emily Sams in the back line. I think that we could see some of these younger or first time players like Ali Setnor get more minutes. Yasmin Ryan maybe could start. It's super exciting and honestly so nerve-wracking to think of. Another really interesting storyline this camp is Lily Johannes, who just a couple of weeks ago committed to playing for the US, is now being asked to potentially play against the Netherlands, which is the other country that she could have played for. So I'm wondering if Emma is going to be like, here, Lily, all the pressure in the world, play against the Netherlands in the Netherlands, which would be kind of crazy. Kristie, do you think there's any other big changes coming? Like, is there anything you'd even do tactically to try to go and get the most out of this team at this point?
I think tactically, like it should stay the same. Like I think it works really well. I feel like Emma might just honestly, I'm hoping that she does it, but I feel like she honestly might just give these young players a go. Like just kind of like fully yank everybody out and put everybody in. Because I feel like it's the end of the year. It's like if you guys want to show what you can do now, like you have to do it now. Like I feel like Emma actually might give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if she does like a full kind of transition with the lineup and kind of just like throw everybody in and kind of just be like, let's see what you can do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Olivia, what do you think? What changes would you make, Olivia?
I mean, I would love to see Lily Johannes against the Netherlands. I think that's just fun. And she's great.
I know.
Yeah.
She's so great. I know we're all looking forward to seeing her play more. That's a nice comment there. Yeah, you're right. Jen Moore in the chat says Lily scored within 10 minutes of her first cap. She can handle it.
Yeah.
I love that. Olivia, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
we are going to take one more question, but we're going to take it via email. SNG243 sent us an email asking, Sam and Kristie, what are your favorite holiday movies? And is it appropriate to start listening to Christmas music before Thanksgiving?
Yes, it is definitely appropriate. I started listening to Christmas music like November 1st, and I'm on Sam's Spotify, and she was like, Kristie, you literally just stole my Spotify, and now it's playing in the entire locker room. And it was like November 1st. So I started a while ago. It just like, it's so happy,
I
and
know.
it just like makes you feel festive, puts you in a good mood.
I know.
And like when you're when you're waking up in the morning and it's like dreary and you're driving to training, like Christmas music just hits. So I already started, and I think it's totally appropriate. Favorite holiday movies.
Yeah.
I would say I haven't watched Elf yet, but I've been waiting to watch it. But they make you buy it on everything. I hate that.
I
actually
just saw
hate
it
that.
today. I think on Max, it's not. You don't have to buy it. I think it's just because you're in the UK.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been, and it's like
Does
$3.99.
anybody know?
I don't know why.
Is Elf free anywhere?
Yeah, but that's what we need. That's actually what we need to get out of this podcast today. Is it free?
Oh, I see my friend Chloe Billings. I always shout out Chloe Billings. I love you, Chloe Billings. I'm still looking in the chat if anybody can answer me. I can only see a very small section of it.
But I've already watched Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. I've watched The Grinch. I watched Christmas with the Cranks the other night, but I think I fell asleep. So we are a huge festive, cheesy, Christmassy family.
Yeah, we are.
Like we do it all, and we love it. We don't care.
For sure.
Yeah.
I haven't watched much yet. I will admit I've been busy, but we did get a tree yesterday when my parents were still here. The whole Mewis family went and picked out a tree, and I put the lights on it today. So we might hang some ornaments today. Oh my gosh, I'm getting confirmation that it's on Max. Thank you so much, everybody. And then also, wait, Kristie, I wanted to just ask you publicly one more time. My mom asked Kristie what she likes to listen to for Christmas music, and this is what Kristie said.
Wham. Well, it's called Last Christmas by Wham.
Yeah, everybody. It's literally the most famous Christmas song besides Mariah Carey
I know, but
in the whole
that's the
world.
one-
And Kristie said it as if it was like, oh, you know that band Wham? And I was like, yeah, Kristie, like literally everybody knows that song. Okay. So looking ahead before Christmas, the U.S. Women's National Team is playing again on Tuesday against the Netherlands. So that game is going to kick off at 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. Becky Sarbrun and I are going to be going live right at the final whistle. I just got so excited when I remembered that. So please make sure to subscribe and tune into the Women's Game YouTube channel on Tuesday for that live reaction show. Everybody who called in today, it was so fun to hear from you. I loved your questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in with us. And Kristie, thank you so much for doing this with me on your Thanksgiving break.
You're so welcome. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so fun to sit next to each other while we did it.
I know. Okay, I'm going to keep reading our stuff. Okay, everybody, don't forget the Women's Game not only does these live reaction shows, but we also have a weekly interview podcast called Friendlies that drops on Thursdays. And this upcoming Thursday, I have an interview coming out with Alyssa and Giselle Thompson. I can't wait for you all to hear it. All of our podcasts are available here on YouTube and on our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow along with the Women's Game on our social media on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, and even Threads at Women's Game MIB. You can also send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. I would love to hear from you. Huge thanks again to Kristie, to all of our callers, to everybody in the chat, to our entire team at the Women's Game and Men and Blazers. I'm Sam Mewis.
And I'm Kristie Mewis.
And this is the Women's Game. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We'll see you soon.
Hi, babe.